In this video, we're looking at 5 takeaways from Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Have you ever had a concept you grew up with be blown out of the water, completely destroyed, demystified by you being exposed to a new book, blog, or podcast? Basically, the new information caused a massive shift in the way you think. Rich Dad Poor Dad did that for me around 10 years ago when I first read it. I hope you experienced that same aha moment I experienced 10 years ago through this video. By the end of it, you will also have learned about the financial statement of a poor person, a middle-class person, and a rich person. Alright, let's dive into Rich Dad's lessons. First, we better set some context as to who Rich Dad and Poor Dad were, so we have a good frame of reference when taking in the lessons from Rich Dad. In the book, Robert mentions he had 2 dads. One highly educated and intelligent. He had a PhD and completed 4 years of undergraduate studies in less than 2 years. He then went to Stanford and Northwestern universities for his advanced studies, all on full financial scholarships. The other father never finished the 8th grade. Both men were successful in their careers, working hard all their lives. Both earned substantial income, yet one always struggled financially. The other would become one of the richest men of Hawaii. As all fascinating stories go, and you might have guessed it, Rich Dad is the one who did not finish 8th grade. Quick pause. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe as it helps the channel. So how did Rich Dad become Rich Dad? He became Rich Dad by increasing his financial literacy on his own with lifelong hands-on learning. Sadly, great financial skills aren't taught in schools. This explains why smart bankers, doctors, engineers, accountants who earned excellent grades may struggle financially all their lives. Poor Dad recommended, study hard so you can find a good company to work for. Rich Dad recommended, study hard so you can find a good company to buy. Poor Dad believed in a company or government taking care of you and your needs. He was always concerned about pay rises, retirement plans, medical benefits, sick leave, vacation days, and other perks. He loved the tenure system available at universities. The idea of job protection for life and job benefits seemed at times more important than the job itself. He would often say, "I've worked hard for the government and I'm entitled to those benefits." Rich Dad, on the other hand, believed in total financial self-reliance. He spoke out against the entitlement mentality and how it created weak and financially needy people. He was empathic about being financially competent. 10 years ago, that line of reasoning blew my mind. I grew up in a middle-class family. We were not wealthy, and what my parents were preaching, mainly my mom, was always study hard, find yourself a good secured job with a great company, as you'll have to work all your life. The expectation was I'd work for that great company for many years and take on the perks. You can imagine what a mind shift it was when I read those pages from Rich Dad Poor Dad, explaining that the mentality I was preached growing up is the poor person mentality. Although at the time, it sounded like it made sense. Poor Dad was poor not because of the amount of money he earned, which was significant, but because of his thoughts and action around what to do with the money. Alright, let's look at Rich Dad's 5 takeaways, noting that the lessons are not meant to be answers, but a guide. Number 1, the rich don't work for money. The poor and the middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. The doctors, lawyers, engineers out there aren't the real rich. They are definitely individuals with high income, but they might not be rich if they do not have assets that's generating them money while they sleep. Always think assets over income. Buying or building assets that deliver cash flow is putting your money to work for you, as opposed to you working for money. Later, we'll look at the financial statement of the poor, the middle class, and the rich, and it will all make sense. Number 2, savers or losers. Wait a second before you bring out your YOLO mindset of let's spend it all today. Let's hear what Rich Dad has to say first. Rich Dad says that if we are a saver, It means we're saving money, putting it somewhere safe because of the fear of losing it. It means that we are earning low interest rate on saving accounts and losing out on what we could be making in the stock market if we were to invest for the long run. Poor Dad said, when it comes to money, play it safe. Don't take risks. Rich Dad said, learn to manage risk. Everyone has the fear of losing money. Even if you're taking calculated risk, you're bound to lose some. Example, a dip in the stock market in the short term. It's not having the fear that's the problem. It's how you handle the fear of losing. The primary difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they manage that fear. Don't be so afraid to lose that you actually lose by taking zero risk in life. If you never ask the girl or guy for her or his phone number, you'll never know if she or he might have been interested or not. You've played it so safe that nothing happened. There's a difference between playing not to lose and playing to win. Winning means being unafraid to lose. Financially, are you playing life too safe or too small? Are you buying big houses or big cars, but no big investments? Number 3, your house is not an asset. Poor Dad said, our home is our largest investment and our greatest asset. Rich Dad said, my house is a liability, and if your house is your largest investment, you're in trouble. Rich people acquire assets. The poor and the middle class acquire liabilities that they think are assets. You must know the difference between assets and liabilities and buy assets. Simply, an asset puts money in your pocket, whether you work or not. A liability takes money out of your pocket. If you want to be rich, spend your life building and buying assets. If you want to be poor or middle class, spend your life buying liabilities. The house you live in and have a mortgage for is taking money out of your pocket on a monthly basis. Hence, according to Rich Dad's definition, it is not an asset. You could argue that its value would grow over time, but over the next 30 years, as you live in it and pay the mortgage, it ain't making you any money. Number 4, understand your assets and liabilities movement. Cash flow tells the story of how a person handles money. Here are 3 financial statements: that of a poor person, a middle class person, and a rich person. The poor person has a job, gets a salary, and burns it all in expenses: taxes, food, rent, etc. The standard middle class person has a job, has a high enough salary to get loans and credit cards, and needs to pay those monthly as well as their usual expenses, ending up with not much of their salary left at the end of the month. The most interesting financial statement is that of the rich person. That person might have exited the rat race in their 20s, retiring early. They have assets that provides them with an income instead of needing a job. The rich think assets over income. Which one do you fit in? Which one are you working towards? Leave it in the comments below. Number 5, thinking for yourself is what will set you free. Rich Dad says, you need to use your head and not follow the crowd. You need to keep increasing your financial literacy through lifelong learning. The main areas you need to learn about are accounting, the ability to read numbers that allow you to identify the strengths and weaknesses of any business, investing, the science of money, making money, understanding the markets, the science of supply and demand, the technical aspect of the financial markets, and how they are also emotionally driven. Taxation law. Taxes involved in being an individual vs having your own company. A person who understands the tax advantages and protection provided by a corporation can get richer much faster than someone who is an employee. Once you finish high school or your higher education, if you choose to do so, and you are in the real world, not only do you need to continue your self-learning, you also need something more than just grades. It's called many things: guts, audacity, bravado, cunning, daring, tenacity, brilliance, that extra oomph to keep pushing, so work on it. This factor, whatever it's labeled, ultimately decides one's future much more than school grades do. Often in the real world, it's not the smart ones who get ahead, but the bold, Rich people are often creative and take calculated risk. Keyword here is calculated. The risk often has capped downside, but potential uncapped upside. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe as it helps the channel. And until next time, my friend, take care.